My first experience here was when I was about 6 years old, which would have been 1957. I came to Vacation Bible School, and it was a community vacation Bible school. And this was the first experience I'd had about going to the altar and giving my heart to Christ.
You know, when I first got here, I was concerned. The church had gotten down to about 70 people were attending here. And at the same time, there was just this sense of God's peace being here. And I was excited about what God was up to.
I have a lot of memories of vacation Bible schools and the nursery. I worked in the hospitality room for years.
And there was something palpable in the air about the Spirit of God. The love of Christ was just present in everyone in the building, and I immediately felt like I was a part of the church, and just an incredible sense of family and the family of faith.
What my family, my husband and I, we really enjoy so much about this church right away. We just sensed a real community here.
The first blessing I had out of here was when I was 6 months old. I was diagnosed with congenital glaucoma. Had surgery that was very successful. And they say it was successful because it was a miracle, because of the prayers of the church and because of the praying over me that brought me through that.
It's a real people church. It's a real serving church. It's really helped me to grow in my faith.
I lived in the country when we were little kids, and we had some neighbors that would go around through the country and pick up a carload of kids and bring them to church every Sunday. And I was one of those lucky kids that got to come.
It is important to me because this is a church that you really don't get the feeling that you have to come, you get to come. So the worship is great, the scripture is great, the fellowship of the believers in the congregation is really good.
There were some older ladies who invited me and my roommate when I was still at Taylor to come in the mornings, and we would meet with some of the kids that were hanging around on the outside of the building, and they had done some damage to the outside of the building. So instead of getting mad at them, they invited them inside and started feeding them. So we had like breakfast for them, and we would just hang out with them before the bus came. So like Jane Hodson and Marion Kindle and some of those people that have been around for a long time, they kind of got me plugged in to the church, and so that was a really neat memory.
If I don't come to church, I miss church. My whole week doesn't work right. I know, I just feel, my heart feels full. I feel loved.
I like that my friends go here.
It wasn't just a get-together of other believers and having a time together, but there was a significant influence on reaching the community for Christ.
I have many memories of me as a child coming here with my family and going to church, sitting through the sermons and sleeping through the sermons.
I have found a place that feels like home at this church. And over the past 2 years, I've enjoyed getting to know people and being a part of a life group and making connections with people.
And I've really appreciated this church. I've appreciated the prayers of many people. I have felt prayers being answered. And I'm just so glad that I've been here all this time.
And we really like the diversity of the congregation and how it just seems like there's a lot of people from all different walks of life, and we just really appreciate just worshiping with everyone.
From all the crazy VBSs that we've done, to the church camps, to just even coming on Wednesday nights and doing our rehearsals, which is a pretty awesome time.
About a year after we started going here, I had a second miscarriage that was pretty difficult, and it was in May, and Rob on Mother's Day had the mothers maybe stand to be prayed for, and I was by myself. Jeff was up on the stage for worship team, and I just remember how difficult it was to stand there alone. And two of my friends from the worship team came down and they stood next to me on that day, and that's what it's been like here. We've come here and we've had people standing next to us through difficult times, and I just feel truly blessed to be a part of this church because of that.
I have always liked this church, and it's always given me my thoughts and my wishes have been for this church and for me to provide for the church things that I can provide to them.
I've always felt so loved and have so many close relationships that I've made here, and just feeling God's presence here, especially up in worship. I just feel like this is a place where I've always just felt God's presence and peace.
And we love that Pastor Rob doesn't let us sit on the sidelines, but really requires us to be active members of the church community.
One that I can think of is the VBS with the boot camp. There was this obstacle course that we had outside that I remember setting up in the tunnel downstairs in Cook.
So it's home church and family church, and my mom started coming with us, and I think her heart really changed here, and she went to be with Jesus, and I'm so thankful she came here because I know where she is.
I can remember when I was a little kid, we used to play baseball where this building sits right now, right here where this part of the building. We used to play baseball out here. And if you hit it over the road, you automatic home run, but if you hit the stained glass windows, everybody run.
The great thing about this church is everyone here is truly family, and we're there for each other whenever anybody needs it. And I've seen a lot of kids grow up, and now they're bringing their kids back, so it's such a blessing.
5 years ago, year 2012, I had some emergency surgery, and in the course of the recovery afterwards, there were 5 gentlemen from this church, friends of mine, who all came to see me at the hospital, and they prayed for me. We spoke together, we talked about God, we revealed our faith, and it was a changing moment in my life. It changed the way I recovered from my health problems dramatically, and I'm forever grateful, and I will never forget the guys that come and help me out.
I specifically remember every time that I was little and I would come down here for Cuck, there would be puppet show thingies instead of skits, and I always thought that was a lot of fun.
Rob's energy is always really good on a Sunday morning, and Tammy's always there by the office when we come in with a big smile and a hug.
So it's just been a part of my whole life in some form or another.
The church means a lot to me because it's been there in times when I've needed and when I've gone through rough times. They've prayed with me and cared for me, and it's like home.
This church is very, very dear to my heart. I made a lot of changes in my life here.
When I came to Kitty Campus, I had fun because there was a lot of stuff to do and I could play with my friends.
The church family here at this church is by far my biggest blessing. In the last 7 years, I've lost both my parents, and I'm not exactly sure how I would have overcome all the sadness if I wouldn't have had the love from the church family that we have here.
The things that really we enjoy so much today is the young families and the involvement of the young families in the church with their young kids.
There are a number of small groups that have been very important to us as support groups throughout the years. For me, the small men's groups that I've been a part of. For Martha, the small women's groups that she has been a part of. The wannabe group, the various Sunday school groups that we've been a part of throughout the years and continue to be a part of. They all have been very special to us, and we continue to have a lot of very good friends that have come from being a part of these groups.
And one of the things I really like about this church is that it is impossible to be part of this church and lose weight. Great food. We get some of the best food in this church.
This church is amazing. The people in it are what make this place so special. And growing up here, I got to meet so many wonderful men and women who played such important roles in my life and coming to know Christ and planting the seeds and the gifts that I have now as an adult.
I work in Cuck, and whenever the kids come down here, they're always like so excited to see everyone and see their friends and are able to be happy here.
So I want to thank all of you for welcoming me into this church, United Methodist of Upland. And this is my family now. And I love all of you.